Hello, I'm Kate Williamson and welcome to Keep It Clean, live from the London Cleaning Show. This is a podcast from Jangro that dives into the changing face of the cleaning industry and its broader impact on sustainability, regulation and workplace efficiency. Today we're focusing on the upcoming simpler recycling legislation, which will require businesses to separate their waste in new ways. It's a big change for many, so we're here to discuss how this will affect cleaning and facilities management. To break down what businesses need to know and how to prepare for all of these changes, I'm joined by Chelsea de Moll. Chelsea is a key account manager at Rubbermaid UK and has been at the forefront of helping businesses navigate these types of regulatory changes. Chelsea, welcome.
Hello, yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Lovely. Thank you for joining me, and let's dive straight into it.
Sure.
Can you start by telling us about the upcoming simpler recycling legislation, what it involves and why it's so crucial for businesses to get on board early?
Yes, so simpler recycling legislation is a piece of legislation by the government. It's part of the Environmental Act 2012, where businesses with more than 10 full-time employees will have to implement multi-stream waste separation upon collection from their waste provider.
Okay. If we can break it down sort of even further.
Yeah, sure.
How can you sort of give me a bit more background onto exactly what the legislation is and how it will affect the facilities management sector in particular?
Yeah, sure. So by 10 full-time employees, so that's 10 full-time employees per company. So regardless if there's 10 people, 5 people in Manchester, 5 people in London, as that full entity has 10 full-time employees, they would have to comply.
Okay, so it's not location, that's just nationwide by that company.
Nationwide.
Okay.
So it is, so they would have to segregate their waste into 4 main streams.
Yep.
That's general waste, food, dry mixed recycling, so that includes glass, plastic and metals, and then also paper and card. So they'll have to separate those 4 streams, and then upon collection they would need to speak to their waste provider to make sure those streams are then carried out and then sent away.
Okay, all right. What are the main changes that businesses need to be aware of other than what you've already mentioned? Is there anything else they need to be aware of?
So in terms of I think one of the main things businesses really need to focus on is what they're currently doing in their current setup.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses think they're doing recycling well.
And they're probably
not.
probably doing it terribly.
We do waste walks with businesses, so we go round, understand the facilities, look in the bins, we do a bit of bin dipping, the guys like to say. Okay. And we do actually notice that a lot of people aren't doing it properly, even though they think they are. One of the main things we would say to businesses, as the 4 streams are mandatory, is to speak to your current waste provider, understand what you are currently doing and what they need from you, and then also what needs to be implemented, not just back of house, but also front of house as well.
Okay. And when does that all kick in?
Oh yes, that's obviously the main point. I completely forgot the day.
It's all right.
So it comes into place on the 31st of March.
Right.
We have found businesses are kind of taking a slowly approach to things, which is understandable. I can imagine that bins aren't at the forefront of people's minds. However, it is mandatory for them to do it, so they should really start getting a move on, to be honest.
And like you say, probably a lot of businesses think that they're actually doing that they're doing it correctly, but they're actually probably not doing it correctly.
I think it's more from, even though businesses can implement these solutions and also try and comply, but also how they're speaking to their employees and how they're speaking to kind of the mass business, and actually saying, we have implemented this for this reason, which means you should follow it the best that you can.
Absolutely. You're obviously a key account manager at Rubbermaid, as we've already said. You've probably been working, I would imagine, quite closely with a lot of businesses on their sustainability efforts. How do you see this affecting the cleaning and facility managements in particular? Is there anything there that you think?
I do believe there's going to be quite a lot of disruption. I know kind of cleaning and facility management, they have multiple sites, so kind of implementing it can be super overwhelming, especially that all sites are different. So some sites might have more glass, so they might need to separate that stream even further. So it's kind of really understanding what each side kind of needs and really partnering with a trusted waste provider, but also a trusted supplier to make sure it's implemented effectively across multiple sites. From a positive impact point of view, it would really help kind of productivity of like your cleaners and all of those people on site. So for example, a site of 300 people in an office, they could have 300 desk side bins. That's a cleaner then having to go and empty 300 bins individually, which is obviously quite a lot and takes a lot of time. So by centralising those streams to say 15 streams in kind of key areas, that's only 15 places they have to go to empty bins. So they can work more towards maybe those high touch point environments, the kind of the entrances, the washrooms. They can be a bit more effective when they are going round the building and cleaning, really. So
probably help people get their steps in as
well.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes, very true.
Just dumping all the desks, they can actually go somewhere and actually put the put the rubbish. If you can just sort of guide me through, so a cleaning provider, what should be the basic steps that they would need to do to make sure that they're in line with all of this? So what guide me through like a step-by-step process? So
I would really suggest understanding currently what you are doing. You might be doing it really well or you might not. We understand that people aren't experts in this field, so we're not asking you to be. If you're really unsure, reach out to an expert, reach out to your waste provider, a trusted supplier like Jangro, or even us, as we speak about bins every single day. Some of us more than we probably want to. But reaching out. Do you separate
all your waste at home,
literally, you should see. I'm literally like to my partner, that doesn't go in there. So
you've got like loads of bins in your kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. But like speaking to the experts if you're unsure. I do understand that some of these facilities are big. There's multiple sites. So just speaking to an expert, understanding what you're currently doing and what needs to be done moving forward to make sure that you're compliant.
Absolutely. Do you think there are any challenges with this that might affect business in terms of multi-streams recycling?
Yeah.
Do you think anything's going to crop up other than what you've already mentioned?
Yeah, well, we did find in Wales that they did implement certain streams and then over time they did add more. So we would really suggest kind of going with a solution where you can add more bins if required. The government haven't said in the UK that would be in England that would be the same. But it's just a precaution. If you go kind of more, you can add more kind of streams as you go along, a multi-purpose stream, then it kind of will help if that does come into place. So that could be a challenge if they want you to separate further. I would also say kind of we mentioned from like an employee point of view, it's really great that if you guys think you are compliant and that you have put in these solutions, but how are your employees interacting with these bins? I know it doesn't sound, but if for example Joe in HR has a banana skin and he doesn't put it in the food waste bin, that's cross-contamination, which can lead to your bins not being collected and you still having to pay for them to be. So it's speaking to your employees, making them understand, well, brown means food waste, black means general waste, and then also kind of it sounds like, oh, you're having to educate people on these things, but you actually really are. And also depending on kind of councils in like the UK, they all separate waste differently in terms of colour, honestly. Literally, I can't even. I did realise in Liverpool that I know mixed general recycling is purple because they don't want blue or red bins because of the football. So that's a completely different region to say Staffordshire, who do kind of follow like green for glass and all of that stuff. So so it's really understanding those colours as well in kind of your areas to make sure that you're following kind of the colour schemes.
So you're following the guidance, and then you're also obviously looking at the guidance in your local area.
But then also from kind of a public facing facility, you can't control how the general public interact with the waste streams. So making sure, like I said, colours, signage, wording, pictures, so that they're able to kind of see, okay, this is where this is supposed to go, which I do think is really important. What we found as well for like public facing facilities and shopping centres, it's a little bit more challenging because you do have to put in a lot more signage and posters so people understand what they need to do.
Yeah, the clearer the better.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of businesses are probably going to wonder, because obviously there's a lot of changes to businesses this year. They're facing a lot more financial impact than they ever have before. a lot of them are going to wonder about the costs involved in upgrading these waste management streams. What's the value to them? I mean, I know obviously it's a regulation, but what's the value in them investing now? In terms of, for the future? And
I think in terms of, we have found a lot of customers kind of just to end users just to tick a box, will just buy cheap.
Yeah.
We don't believe that's going to be effective in the long run. At the end of the day, we want to focus more on durability when it comes to bins.
Yeah.
It isn't the forefront of people's minds to, when purchasing, think, oh, what could I replace? They don't think bins is the first one. So I think really investing in durable products that will last, that have good warranties, is really important. Because then it's something that they won't have to think about for 5 to 10 years. That's something that we really pride ourselves at Rubbermaid, is that we have really good warranties. I mean, one of our bins is 10 years, so we're basically saying for 10 years you will not have to worry about that again. And we do understand that more durable products, well-made products, come with a price point. There is obviously, in the long run, if you start segregating waste well, you would gain that price, that money back.
This is what I love about the cleaning industry. It doesn't matter what aspect you're in. Everyone that I speak to, whether it's bins, mops, whatever it is, they're super passionate about it. So
we are. We do love it. We don't like to say, but we really do.
I can sense that. Look, Chelsea, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to listen to your expertise and for you to join me on the first live podcast.
Yes, I know. Nerves are finally settled now we've got into it.
Nerves are finally settled. Good. So look, I mean, that's it for this episode of the very first live podcast from the London Cleaning Show. For more information on the upcoming legislation, you can download a free guide to help the upcoming changes, which is available through Rubbermaid. Remember, sustainability isn't just a trend, it is a responsibility. See you next time.